on the odometer here on my 2019 Street Glide, and we're going down one of my favorite warm-up roads, Avery Road here in Durwood. It's not too far from my house. It has some nice blind corners, and it's got a lot of curve to it, so it's a lot of fun to ride. As long as you don't get caught behind traffic, that just makes it suck. But it doesn't look like we're going to have much today in the way of traffic, so we should be pretty good to go at our own pace. Some traffic, but that's all right. It gives us a chance to talk. So how did I get into moto vlogging? Well, I watch a lot of YouTube. I see what other people are doing, and then I go on these rides and I think to myself, I could do this. I'm fairly entertaining, at least in my own head. And if I find myself entertaining, there's got to be one or two other people that do. So if you're watching this, you're in the lucky few. Thanks for being here. That's a big piece of gravel. So we recently had a lot of rainstorms here, so there could be some gravel on the road. And I was on this road in my wife's car earlier, so I know there is some grass at some point, but we'll keep an eye out for it. I tend to ride pretty safely, so I don't take a whole lot of risk. But this road's even fun without going fast. A lot of trees to look at. The temperature difference going down this hill is just spectacular. It's just a feeling you don't get in a car. You only get that on a motorcycle. Now, since COVID appeared, we've got new state law crosswalk signs, and there's a ton of people that cross here. So a lot of cars stop right at this point. But even with that, we got a nice elevation change, and then we got a couple of nice corners. So hang on tight. Well, we would have had a nice couple of corners. That's okay. We're still out on two wheels. It's an overcast day, mid-70s. A lot of stuff in the roads. This is the coolest day I've ridden in months. It has been so hot and humid here in the mid-Atlantic. Unbelievable. All right, let's go. Woohoo! Love that 114. Later on, we should find a straightaway and do a 0 to whatever the speed limit is. Oh, this bike brings me a lot of joy. They say money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you your dream bike. And isn't that the same thing? 10 years ago, I started riding when a friend of mine from the cigar shop offered me his bike, a 2005 Vulcan 800 Classic that was mostly stock except it had floorboards, a windscreen, and saddlebags on it. So I got it, put it in front of my mom's house and threw a tarp over it for a couple of months. And then I finally got it to a motorcycle shop local to me and spent a couple of grand. They replaced the tank, tires, battery, fluids, rebuilt the carburetors, made sure all the cables were lubed and clean and ready to go. And they gave me the bike back. It only had 700 miles on it. To this day, it's a story the mechanic still tells. And so I got this bike, and I'm like, okay, well now I need a license. So it just so happened I had a few Harley riding friends, and they all recommended taking the MSF course through a Harley dealer. So I went online, signed up, and I took it in April of 2010. And then on day one, I went and got my license, I went and got my bike, I got it inspected, and then I rode. Awesome. Had a great day. Put over 100 miles on that bike. Rode in the day, rode at night, rode in gravel, wet, dry, you name it, I was covering it. So I rode that bike for 4 or 5 years, and then my wife and I were shopping for upgrades. Well, I wanted a Harley Street Glide, and the day I went to buy it, She came out of the bathroom holding a stick. We were pregnant. So I put that on hold for a year, reluctantly, of course. And once our son was happy and healthy and outside the womb, finances settled down, we went shopping again. And this time she wanted a Street 500 or a Street 750, and I still wanted the Street Glide. But they wouldn't talk to her about finding her bike. They only wanted to talk about my bike. And that pissed her off. And then she said, well, you're not spending 25 grand on a bike, so go get something cheaper. So I did. I ended up with a 2016 Kawasaki Vulcan Vaquero. It's like the Kawasaki version of the Road Glide from Harley. So I rode that for a couple of years and then I wrecked it. Patch of radiator fluid on the ground, about 4 feet wide and over 100 feet long, and I just slid. So there I am, laying on my back. Ouch. I got lucky in that I wasn't seriously injured, but I didn't feel comfortable on that bike after that. So I messed around with it for a year and a half. The insurance company fixed it up. Everybody said, the bike's fine, it's in your head. So one day the wife and I were watching TV, sitting on the couch, and I said, honey, I think I'm gonna go buy a Street Glide. And she goes, oh, are you looking at new or used? I said, used. I don't really want to spend a ton of money. The Kawasaki's paid for. So we went and looked at a used one. And it turns out it had a chip in the rear of the front fender and had a bit of rust there, and we didn't like the color. So my wife points out, hey, I saw a blue one in the showroom. I like that color. And I said, yeah, me too, but it's like, you know, it's 10 grand more expensive. She goes, okay, well, we're here, take that for a ride. So I took this bike for a ride. As you can see, it's billiard blue. I took it for a ride, I came back. I said, man, I need a smoke. She goes, what do you mean? I said, a test ride. She goes, yeah, but what do you need a smoke for? I said, you know, like after good sex. And she says, huh? So we went in, did a little negotiating, and a couple days later I brought this bike home. And it has been a wonderful experience so far. Outside of, it didn't start. Turns out if you let these new Harleys sit for a week in sub-freezing temperatures without a battery tender, they tend to not want to start. Two things. One, the oil from the factory is not synthetic, so it can't handle the colder temperatures, and it even says so in the manual. And two, all the electronics here, they all take a toll. The GPS, security system, etc., they're always monitoring. So, with that in mind, I put mine on a battery tender. It lives in a trailer, so I got the battery tender solar panel, and I'll put a link to that down below in the description. But it has been a lifesaver. This bike can sit for a couple of weeks and still fires right up. Now, when I bought this bike, it had 3,000 miles on it, give or take. It was part of the demo fleet. It came equipped with the Kahuna grips and the Kahuna floorboards, and basically the whole Kahuna collection from Harley. It also has the rear cylinder fan, twin cool I think they call it, and it's got the mid-frame deflectors. So it came with a few add-ons, which is pretty cool. I like the bike the way it was set up. I added the windscreen, and I added rear saddlebag guards, and I have soft lowers for in the winter time, and a couple other upgrades I'll talk about later. But anyway, so the bike wouldn't start. So the dealership picked it up, checked everything, and then finally found that there was nothing wrong, just keep it on a tender. So I bought the battery tender solar panel, and I keep the bike plugged in whenever I'm not riding it, and we're good. It started up, and then the 5K service, I had them put the synthetic oil in, and it's been awesome. In the last 6 months, I've put 4,000 miles on this bike, and it has been a huge pleasure. I've taken it all the way to the northeastern edges of Maryland. Had a great ride that day. Didn't have the GoPro then, so there's no footage, and that's part of what got me into this. You know, I wanted to share all these beautiful sights I'm seeing with other people. So it's a hobby. I'm having fun with it, and we'll go from there. So thanks so much for watching. And if you like this content, please subscribe. If you want to be notified when I upload future videos, hit the bell icon too. Thanks. Have a great day.